Hello, we welcome you to this Bible study of the Banking Blessings Ministry. My name is Goodluck Ofebu, and this is my wife.
My name is Obi Ofebu. I'd like to welcome you to this session of our Bible study. I hope you go through it and be blessed.
Yes. Well, we welcome you to our continuation of the series on the King and the People, a series in which we seek understanding of God's purpose of interactions between people and their governments. Today we are going to look at a principle that God established to guide human interactions related to activities that are regulated by the state. The specific principle we look at today, in fact, deals with the organization of state functions. And essentially, God is going to uses an example to illustrate the benefit of delegating authority to a hierarchy of branches, a hierarchy of functionaries in the state, functionaries that run the state, such that each of these branches has a responsibility over specific functions and has the authority to execute those functions. Of course, all of them are under the authority of the state. And we'll see that there is potential for a lot of benefit to the state. First, because of, well, of course, the people with different specializations are given responsibilities in their area of specialization. But it's more than that the favor that God may grant favor to the state through one or more of the individuals. The specific example we look at tonight illustrates this very clearly, because the Israeli government at the time, the Israeli army was organized in this kind of hierarchy. There were two commanders, but each of them had authority to initiate action, and the other group, the rest of the people, will follow. So, and we also noticed that at that time, there were two commanders, Saul and Jonathan. Let's forget the fact that Jonathan was a son of Saul. He was just, let's just look at him as a commander. Saul was already out of favor, had already fallen out of favor with God. And in fact, in this battle with the Philistines, he really didn't know what to do. He was afraid of the Philistines, and he was just sitting there hoping that something will happen. But Jonathan, out of his faith of God, decided to do something. Prayed for God's guidance, prayed for God's leadership, and God granted favor to Israel through Jonathan, even at a time that he probably would not have granted the favor through Saul. And Israel won a great victory over the Philistines in that battle. We will look at the details in the Bible, but this is illustrating to us the virtue of organizing a state in terms of a hierarchy of branches. Of course, most states are organized that way today, but at the end of the study, we will see the benefit of us learning this at this time, of course, to understand it. So, honey, do you want to say something?
What I want to say is that it's always a pleasure to hear what the Lord has to say with every account He reveals to us. He gives us throughout the series of this Bible study. Today will not be an exception. I'm expectant of what the Lord has to say, even with this occurrence. Already I have certain things that the Lord is putting in my heart as I was going through the Bible study, and which I never saw in the light of the account in the Bible of, you know, how Jonathan, you know, was able to stir up how he was able to take part in defeating the Philistines, you know, this time. So I'm really expectant, and I think, you know, we will all be blessed.
Yes. Okay. Well, let's move right into it. And what we are going to learn is that the military structure that Saul set up, which delegated authority to commanders, as I said, there were two commanders, Saul and Jonathan, but that is enough to illustrate the principle. That this military structure gave authority to each commander. Each commander could initiate action and the other group will follow. So Jonathan attacked the Philistines at a time that Israel was terribly overmatched, both in number and in weapon. So Jonathan had nothing, Saul had nothing. But Jonathan, by faith of God only, decided to confront the Philistines, and his attack was very successful. The Israelites, the Philistines became confused, started fighting each other, started running away. The Israelites pursued them, and they destroyed the Philistine army in that battle. They won a great victory. So favor that God granted to Israel through Jonathan won victory for Israel at the time that Saul himself had fallen out of favor with God. So the favor can come from anybody. So when authority is well distributed, then any person that has authority to act can actually be the channel for God's favor to the state. This is the principle. We are going to look at the example from 1 Samuel chapter 14, verses 1 through 23. Well, we'll begin with the delegation of authority. So Saul appointed two commanders. Saul had 2 battalions under him, and Jonathan had 1 battalion. Remember that 1 battalion is 1,000 fighting men, 1,000 soldiers, who are men and women. Each battalion commander had the authority to initiate a battle without consultation. This was we'll see this. There was a small battle they had that illustrated this before we go to the big battle. So each commander had the authority to initiate a battle, and also is required to join a battle initiated by another commander. So this was the arrangement that comes out, as I said, through the first battle, a small battle that we'll read about before we get to the main one. But let us read the background from 1 Samuel chapter 13, verses 2 to 4.
So we're reading 1 Samuel chapter 13 from the New International Version. Verse 2. Saul chose 3,000 men from Israel. 2,000 were with him at Michmash and in the hill country of Bethel, and 1,000 were with Jonathan at Gibeah in Benjamin. The rest of the men he sent back to their homes. Jonathan attacked the Philistine outpost at Geba, and the Philistines heard about it. Then Saul had the trumpet blown throughout the land and said, "Let the Hebrews hear." So all Israel heard the news. Saul has attacked the Philistine outpost, and now Israel has become obnoxious to the Philistines. And the people were summoned to join Saul at Gilgal.
Yeah, so what happened? You can see what happened there. They had their structure. Jonathan attacked the Philistine outpost at Geba. Saul heard about it, blew trumpet, and summoned all Israel to join the battle. So what that small battle is really telling us that, hey, yes, each commander had the authority to initiate a battle and was required to join a battle initiated by another commander. So that was the arrangement. Then Jonathan actually used the authority in another battle, the more important one. In this situation, the Israelites, remember we read about this in our previous Bible study, the Israelites had scattered. The Israeli soldiers, some of them even crossed to the enemy side. Many of them were hiding in rocks and caves. They were terribly overmatched by the Philistines, so they were afraid. Saul was supposed to have 2 battalions, but he was left with only 600 soldiers. The rest had left him, had dissipated. Jonathan, we don't know how many he had, but he didn't need many, just needed his armor bearer. So without consultation, he set out with his armor bearer and with his faith. We'll see about the faith as we read the passage, to explore, to visit the Philistines. Not really visit, he really wanted to fight them, but because it's only him and God and of course him and his armor bearer and God, I don't think he had any plan of battle when he set out to confront the Philistines. And we'll see how he talks about that in the Bible. Let us read from 1 Samuel chapter 14, verses 1 through 5.
1 Samuel chapter 14, verse 1. One day, Jonathan, son of Saul, said to his young armor bearer, "Come, let's go over to the Philistine outpost on the other side." But he did not tell his father. Saul was staying on the outskirts of Gibeah under a pomegranate tree in Migron. With him were about 600 men, among whom was Ahijah, who was wearing an ephod. He was a son of Ichabod's brother, Ahitub, son of Phinehas, the son of Eli, the Lord's priest in Shiloh. No one was aware that Jonathan had left. On each side of the pass that Jonathan intended to cross to reach the Philistine outpost was a cliff. One was called Bozez and the other Seneh. One cliff stood to the north towards Michmash, the other to the south towards Gibeah.
Yes. So essentially he was in a valley. The Philistines were on the Geba side, and Saul and the rest of Israel were on the Michmash side. And there are these 2 cliffs. He had to, in order to go to the Philistine side, he had to climb the cliff. Okay, let us continue. Let's see. Okay, so as I said, the Israelites were overmatched. Their soldiers were demoralized and they had no weapons. We're not going to read this, but there is a clear account of how the Israelites had nothing, were unprepared to fight the Philistines and really didn't know what to do. And this account is in 1 Samuel 13, verses 16 to 22, but we're not going to read it. Instead, we'll read 14, verses 6 to 10, which is a continuation of what this time we're going to see what Jonathan did. And what he did was, when he left, the first thing he did was where he told his armor bearer what he intended to do. And then he sought God's guidance. But we'll see, because of his faith, he actually told, in his prayer, he sort of told God what sign he needed. Do you want us to attack these people? If you want us to attack, this is the sign that I'm going to need from you. And then he proceeded, and of course God gave him guidance exactly as he had exactly as he prayed, and he attacked the Philistines. But let us read the details from 1 Samuel chapter 14, verses 6 to 10. Just continue from where we stopped.
So verse 6 of 1 Samuel chapter 14. Jonathan said to his young armor-bearer, "Come, let's go over to the outpost of those uncircumcised men. Perhaps the Lord will act in our behalf. Nothing can hinder the Lord from saving, whether by many or by few. Do all that you have in mind," his armor-bearer said. "Go ahead, I am with you, heart and soul." Jonathan said, "Come on then, we will cross over towards them and let them see us. If they say to us, 'Wait there until we come to you,' we will stay where we are and not go up to them. But if they say, 'Come up to us,' we will climb up, because that will be our sign that the Lord has given them into our hands."
Well, so this conversation we read, really, if you look at it, it's really a prayer, even though it was a conversation between Jonathan and his armor bearer. And in this prayer, he said, "God, we are going, tell us whether we should attack these people, and we are going to let them see us. If they tell us to wait, based on their comment, if they are telling us, well, wait, we're not ready for you, then we know that you don't want us to fight. But if you want us to go and fight them, then let them invite us to come." You see, so he said, if they invite us, then we know that God has given them over to our hands, and we'll go and fight them. Okay, so that is what happened. This is based on his faith. This is based on his relationship with God. This is based on his understanding that God was the leader of Israel, that God fought for Israel. And if they wanted to fight, they should seek guidance from God based on their own relationship with him. Yeah. Okay, let's proceed. Well, he received God's guidance with the sign exactly as he prayed, then he launched the attack. Let us read from verses 11 to 16.
Verse 11. So both of them showed themselves to the Philistine outpost. "Look," said the Philistines, "the Hebrews are crawling out of the holes they were hiding in." The men of the outpost shouted to Jonathan and his armor-bearer, "Come up to us and we'll teach you a lesson." So Jonathan said to his armor-bearer, "Climb up after me, the Lord has given them into the hand of Israel." Verse 13. Jonathan climbed up, using his hands and feet, with his armor-bearer right behind him. The Philistines fell before Jonathan, and his armor-bearer followed and killed behind him. In that first attack, Jonathan and his armor-bearer killed some 20 men in an area of about half an acre. Then panic struck the whole army, those in the camp and field, and those in the outposts and raiding parties, and the ground shook. It was a panic sent by God. Saul's lookouts at Gibeah and Benjamin saw the army melting away in all directions.
Well, so Jonathan initiated the attack. Remember, he sought guidance from God, and once he received the guidance, he went into attack. But there are only two of them. What could two people really do? Well, they were very strong. They fought. The 20 people they killed didn't come at them. This is my understanding. The 20 people didn't come at them at the same time, because it's an area. This is about an acre or something like that. So they were coming, as they came, he killed them, and other people came. Then the news of this killing at their outpost, this was like a place, they were at the entrance to their area, the area occupied by the Philistines. So this was the small group that was guarding the outpost. So when the people behind sort of got information that the people in front have been killed, that somebody had entered some people, an army had entered their camp and had already destroyed the outpost. So this set out panic among the Philistines, and they ran in every direction. They ran away. We'll see in the next reading that they were actually fighting each other. But what the Israelites did was Saul noticed that something was going on. He saw the Philistines running away. They said they saw the army melting away. Then he quickly told somebody to find out who left from their camp. And then they counted and found out that Jonathan wasn't there. Then immediately, remember that once a commander, we get this from this account. It's not stated clearly, explicitly in the Bible, but the account shows it that a commander can initiate an attack without consultation, and once a commander initiates the attack, the other commanders were the only one this time will join. So he commanded the Israelites to join. We'll read the details, and Israel defeated the Philistines. The details we'll find in the Bible. Defeated them. They ran away, in fact, and they were thoroughly defeated. So let's proceed with the reading. 1 Samuel 14, verses 17 to 23.
So we continue with verse 17. Then Saul said to the men who were with him, "Muster the forces and see who has left us." When they did, it was Jonathan and his armor-bearer who were not there. Saul said to Ahijah, "Bring the ark of God." At that time it was with the Israelites. While Saul was talking to the priests, the tumult in the Philistine camp increased more and more. So Saul said to the priest, "Withdraw your hand." Then Saul and all his men assembled and went to the battle. They found the Philistines in total confusion, striking each other with their swords. Those Hebrews who had previously been with the Philistines and had gone up with them to the camp went over to the Israelites who were with Saul and Jonathan. When all the Israelites who had hidden in the hill country of Ephraim heard that the Philistines were on the run, they joined the battle in hot pursuit. So on that day the Lord saved Israel, and the battle moved on beyond Beth Aven.
Well, so God saved Israel that day by favor granted through Jonathan. It's not, yes, Israel beat the Philistines that day, but this is really illustrating something important to us. There was a structure with two commanders, and each of them could start a battle. Each of them had the authority to start a battle. And because Jonathan had a close relationship with God, had strong faith, God granted Israel favor through Jonathan. The other commander, Saul, at the time, really was in confusion. He only had 600 men. He was taken on the battle the same way that he had fought in the past, but didn't see what he could do with 600 people. So if everything had to go through him, it is possible that this battle never would have started. The only reason it started is that Jonathan had the authority. That is the other commander. It happened to be Jonathan, but the other commander had the authority to to initiate a battle. So favor granted through Jonathan overcame what we call Saul's disfavor, because Saul had fallen out of favor with God at that time. and because of the military structure they had, in which each commander had authority to initiate a battle. Israel is essentially the Israeli army gained strength through the military structure that delegated authority to each commander. So this brings us to the importance of this lesson. It's not, of course, it was the Israeli army that was used in the example, but what this is really illustrating is that government will function better. A state is likely to function better if it functions through a hierarchy of authority, a hierarchy of branches, with each branch having the authority to perform specific responsibilities. And the branches interact to support each other, as if the Department of Education is doing something, maybe the borough, another department will join one way or the other. Another department that is involved in what they are doing. But the point is, there is several branches. The government consists of several branches. Each branch has authority to perform in certain areas of responsibility. The leaders and the staff understand the hierarchy. They understand what are the responsibilities of each branch and what are the governing rules and regulations. Very important. This is not, in a simple structure, it is easy to say, okay, every commander can start a battle, but in a very big organization, like if you think of the US government or the Nigerian government or the British government, it's a very complicated structure. So they will have rules and regulations so that each branch will understand the limits of its authority, what are its responsibilities, and what can it do and what can't it do. Well, governments are organized this way already, but what is our benefit in learning this? One benefit we derive from it is that it gives us a way to recognize, to distinguish between a good government and a bad government. Because a good government will honor this hierarchy. They will honor the authority of the various branches. They will honor the system, because they know that this system will help them function effectively. But a bad ruler will seek to undercut the hierarchy. They will seek to undermine the system for one reason or the other. There are examples going on in the world today where this can be illustrated, but we don't want to mention any specific government. But this is one way, as a Christian, that you can look at what is going on in a country and understand. Because this multi-branch system, using this multi-branch system has the potential to be of great benefit to the country. Look at how the Israeli army benefited because of that structure, because Jonathan had the authority to start a battle, just like Saul had. So a good government will try to honor the hierarchy and make effective use of the hierarchy, because it brings stability to the system and it brings success to the system. But a bad ruler will try to undercut the hierarchy.
Yeah, if I may
yes, go right ahead, because that's the end of it.
I'm thinking that, as a people, the citizens of a nation, there's more for us to learn from this account, this event in the Bible, than as much as the government, if not more, than the government. Because one, the hierarchy that was set up here, governance, we have to see governance as a teamwork. It's a teamwork because it has, when you have, yes, an executive, depending on the kind of system of government you run, but there's always one person that is at the helm of it all.
Yeah.
Then you have all other branches, maybe ministries and other things, parastatals that governance can flow through the people.
Yeah.
And each of them has responsibilities. So when you talk about each commander, I see those commanders like as ministers, secretary of this or secretary of that when it comes to the United States.
Yeah.
They can initiate something, and when there's need, when there's something, the whole aim is the governance. The whole aim is, the thing that government owes the people.
Yeah.
Which can be in the area of education, it can be in the area of health, it can be in the area of security, it can in any of those. It's a multi-pronged issue.
Yeah.
And each of those people at the helm of those little chiefdoms, as I would look at them, has authority to initiate things that will benefit the people.
Yeah.
Through what God has assigned, the executive has assigned them or appointed them to do.
Yes.
Okay? So that's the way I see what Jonathan did. Now, how do we come in? Any government that builds a house and begins to divide it, you want to destroy it. You're destroying what you built.
Yes.
Now, but as the followers, as the people who are being led, what is in this for us? What lessons can we learn from this? One, for me, is that, sometimes we are eager to look at who was appointed minister of this. Is it from my place? Is it my brother? We are looking at how we can gain from those people that the government has, like for example, Saul is the commander here. We were not told that Saul went to take his brother or his cousin to be his armor bearer. Okay. Now we are looking at what will we gain. That's what interests us in most places, especially developing countries where some of us come from. But what should really interest us is this person going to be able to do this work?
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Saul had that initiative.
Yeah.
There are some other commanders that may not have that initiative
to
be able to do what he did.
Yeah.
And he had that initiative because he knows the God of Israel. He knows that God can, because he said it. God is not limited to save by many or by few.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when we are looking at governance or people we elect into government or people that we appoint into governance, we should be able to look at not what we will gain selfishly or personal, as a person from that person, but would this person be able to do that work?
Yes.
And it's something that should be prayerfully considered whenever we're doing it. Yeah. The other thing that I think we can look at here as Christians is this. In our little place, look at what Saul did. Look at what Jonathan did. Just him and his armor bearer. Yeah. Because he had faith in God, he took a step. Yeah. That little step, God multiplied it.
Yes. Yes.
And defeated a mighty army.
Yes.
So, when you see that the person, maybe you are boss, or the person you work under a particular department in government, or you have that little responsibility, which might seem so little to you, you can actually cause a change in the whole governance by what you do.
Working effectively.
Working effectively in that your own and putting God first in that place.
Yes.
Because that's your little effort, God can multiply it.
Yeah.
It can be such that, this thing you are doing, which you have taken the initiative to do, your boss or then you can see it and say, wow, this thing is yielding such good response, or it's so effective that I will adopt it for the greater good of the people.
Yes.
And it is something that started in your little corner.
Yeah.
It is something that started by you praying about it.
Yeah.
You know, and not criticize. God never gives any solution to a mind that is only criticizing.
Yeah.
That mind is not ready for, you know, hearing and receiving the solution. Because all you're doing is criticizing.
Yes.
You know. So these are some of the ways, you know, as I was saying that, as I was reading this, some of the things that, you know, God was showing me, the Holy Spirit was ministering to me, you know, that as it concerns us Christians or people that are led, we can make a change in any government by being diligent in the responsibilities that we find ourselves
in.
In the small area that you have been given. Don't always look to blame the big guys. Don't always, if you have trust and faith in God and do your own work diligently, God can multiply it.
Yes, excellent. That's true.
God can multiply it and bring about that change that you desire.
Yeah. God can multiply a small effort or what you think is small, but you work diligently in your area, just like Jonathan did, focused on what he could do, but of course remember that he needed God for it to mean something.
And the important thing is, remember that governance is a team effort. It's a teamwork.
Yes.
It's a teamwork. You know, together everyone achieves more. That's what team means. And if we can, you know, not always, because sometimes when we find we're trying to undercut each other, you know, this department is trying to undercut that department, this one is trying to, you know, and we end up not getting as much as God wants us to get. But the moment you see something that is working and you see a part in it from your own section, you plug into it. Irrespective of the fact of whether the others didn't say, oh no, because it wasn't us that started this, we're not going to, you know, jump into it. But the moment they saw that God is doing something and Jonathan has started, the others moved in.
That was the rule.
Yes.
That was the agreement. Well, you know, we learned something important and from this short passage, and we believe that the more we discuss it, that the more we'll learn about it. Every passage in the Bible is a living passage and has so many lessons, and we cannot discover, really, it's not possible to discover all the lessons in one study. You just, whatever you are looking at times you find the information you need to understand.
And God reveals and opens up what He wants the people to understand from that passage. By the next time you read it, that account, the Holy Spirit might minister so many other things to you.
Yes. So we pray that you will share in what we have learned and that you will discover your own as you read the passage, and that overall that what you learn in this program will make a positive impact on your life and will bring you closer to God's purpose for your life. Thank you, and God bless you.
God bless you. Till next time.